You see, we are not a church. Here at First Lubbock, we are not a church that is built around a personality. We have a biblical philosophy of what we're trying to do. As pastor and pastoral staff, we believe that the purpose of the church, based upon the Great Commission, we are called to be fishers of men, training and equip the saints to do the work of the ministry, to be fishers of men. We are not keepers of the aquarium. Our church and our philosophy of what we're seeking to do, what we're seeking to disciple and pour into people, it's not driven by a personality. You know, you hear people go off to different places, go to Dallas, go to Atlanta, go to Austin, wherever young people will move to, and you'll run into them. Maybe during football season, they come back to Lubbock, and you ask them, hey, have you found a church yet? And they'll say, oh yeah, I go to so-and-so's church. And they name a personality. Because the church and the identity of the church is built around a man, a personality. You're never going to hear a student leave here, and if you do, shame on you. You're never going to hear one of our university students. We are essentially a sending agency. We get a window of time with tech students, 4, 5, 6 years if they're doing grad school, or if they're a really bad undergrad student, 6 years. But we get this window of time to really have a profound impact upon their life, and we really view ourselves as a sending agency because they're going to go out all over the world. And when they run into other tech grads in Austin, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Singapore, or literally around the world, they run into other tech people and they say, oh, you went to tech, where'd you go to church in Lubbock? Not a single one of them said, well, you know, I went to Bobby Dagnall's church. That's not going to happen. Because what we're doing is not built around personality. Nor are we a gimmicky church. Ours is a long-term biblical model built upon discipleship. We're not interested in building a crowd here. We can do a lot of things. We're all familiar. Listen, we have a very creative staff. There's a lot of gimmicky things we could do to attract a crowd. But when we gather in here, it's about equipping the saints to go out and do the work of the ministry. Our purpose is not to draw a crowd. And the problem with gimmicks is that if you build a crowd, and remember there's a difference between a crowd and a church. We're interested in building a church. The problem is if you build a crowd with gimmicks and dancing bears, you've got to have bigger gimmicks and bigger bears to keep them. If you're building a crowd with the dog and pony show, if you're trying to meet the needs of consumers, they'll leave you in a heartbeat to go down the road to the next dog and pony show whenever you've exhausted your bag of tricks. Amazing churches, the thing about them is that they ascribe what they do to the power of the resurrected Christ, not to a human personality, not to gimmicks.